What's the one thing you've been avoiding? The uncomfortable conversation, the hard habit, the lonely stretch of work that you know deep down is the exact price of the life you say you want. I've asked myself that question more times than I can count, and for years I kept giving myself the same soft answer. Tomorrow. I'll start tomorrow. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. If you've ever felt that quiet gap between your current reality and your desired future, you're not alone. This channel is a space for honest exploration, not perfect performance. So if that resonates, I'd be honored if you'd subscribe to Elevate Your Daily. It's a simple way to stay connected to this kind of real talk, and it helps this community grow. Today, I want to share something I've been circling for a long time, the real, unvarnished price of success. Not the Instagram version, but the human one. The one that doesn't get talked about in highlight reels or motivational quotes. The price that, in my own life, I kept trying to negotiate away until I realized it's non-negotiable. I used to think success was about having the right strategy, the perfect plan, or a stroke of luck. I read all the books, I tracked my habits, I made vision boards, and yet I kept hitting the same wall. It wasn't until I got brutally honest with myself that I saw the pattern. I was willing to want the outcome, but I wasn't willing to pay for it. I wanted the result without the receipt. So I started to pay attention. I began to notice what my heroes, the people whose work I truly admired, had in common. And it wasn't just talent or timing. It was a willingness to pay a price most people, including me, flinch at. Through my own reflection, my own failed attempts, and my own small victories, I've come to see that the price of success is paid in four main currencies. Number 1, the price of time. Number 2, the price of discomfort. Number 3, the price of isolation. And number 4, the price of delayed gratification. I didn't learn this from a guru. I learned it by trying to avoid each one, failing, and then slowly, painfully learning to pay up. Let me walk you through what that looked like for me. Number 1, the price of time. I've always been busy. I fill my days with tasks, meetings, and productive activity. But I noticed a strange paradox. The busier I was, the less I seemed to actually move the needle on the things that truly mattered to me. I read a study that stuck with me. It said the average knowledge worker is only truly focused for about 3 hours a day. The rest is fragmented by email, meetings, and context switching. I looked at my own week and realized my 3 hours were spent on other people's priorities, not my own deepest work. I wanted to write a book, but my writing time was always squeezed into the cracks of my schedule, late at night when I was exhausted or in 15-minute gaps between calls. No wonder nothing was happening. The real price of time isn't just about the quantity you spend, but the quality and intentionality behind it. It's about protecting your most focused creative hours, the ones that usually come in the first few hours after you wake up, and dedicating them to your highest leverage work, not your most urgent inbox. So I tried an experiment. I blocked out 90 minutes every morning, 5 days a week, and declared it sacred. No email, no calls, no social media, just me and the blank page. The first week was a disaster. My brain was so used to being reactive that it panicked in the silence. I fidgeted, I made coffee, I just checked my phone one last time. But I kept showing up, and slowly something shifted. In those 90 minutes, I began to do more meaningful work than I had in the previous 6 months of being busy. I realized the price of time isn't just about giving up an hour of Netflix, it's about giving up the false security of reactivity. It's about the courage to be unavailable to the world so you can be fully available to your own mission. Number 2, the price of discomfort. I used to believe that if something felt hard, it meant I was on the wrong path, that my passion would feel easy and exciting all the time. That was my biggest self-deception. I noticed that I would start a new project with a burst of enthusiasm, but the moment it got hard, when I hit a creative block, received critical feedback, or simply didn't know what to do next, I'd abandon ship. I'd label it a bad idea or not for me and move on to the next shiny object. This cycle of starting and stopping became my default. I had a graveyard of half-finished projects, each one a monument to my unwillingness to sit with discomfort. Then I read a simple idea that changed everything. Growth lives on the other side of the discomfort you're avoiding. My resistance wasn't a sign to quit, it was a signpost pointing directly to the work I needed to do. So I made a new rule for myself.
When I felt the urge to quit because something was hard, I had to stay with it for at least 48 hours. I couldn't make a decision from a place of panic or frustration. I had to sit with the discomfort, get curious about it, and ask, what is this trying to teach me? One specific moment stands out. I was working on a piece of writing that was deeply personal. I was terrified of sharing it. The fear of being misunderstood or judged was so intense that I almost deleted the document. But I remembered my rule. I sat with the fear for 2 days. I journaled about it. I walked with it. And slowly, the fear didn't go away, but it lost its power to paralyze me. I hit publish. And you know what? Some people didn't get it, but others sent me messages that said, this is exactly what I needed to hear. That single act of leaning into discomfort connected me to my audience in a way that 100 safe, generic posts never could. I realized the price of discomfort isn't a one-time fee, it's a recurring subscription. Every time you level up, the work gets harder, the stakes feel higher, and the fear gets louder. Success isn't the absence of discomfort, it's the willingness to make a home inside of it. Number 3, the price of isolation. This was the hardest price for me to accept. I'm a people person. I thrive on connection and collaboration, so the idea that building something meaningful would require solitude was deeply unsettling. But I noticed a pattern in my own life. My most creative, focused work always happened when I was alone. Yet I would constantly sabotage those moments by filling them with noise, texting a friend, checking in on social media, inviting someone over for company. I was mistaking loneliness for a problem to be solved, rather than a necessary condition for deep work. I read about how many of the world's greatest thinkers, artists, and inventors were famously solitary, not because they were misanthropes, but because they understood that true creation requires a kind of inward focus that is impossible in a crowd. The noise of other people's opinions, energy, and agendas can drown out the quiet inner voice where your best ideas are born. So I started to protect my solitude. I began scheduling blocks of strategic isolation into my week, not as a punishment, but as a gift to my future self. At first, it felt strange, even a little sad. I'd be sitting at my desk in the quiet, and a wave of FOMO would hit me. What are my friends doing? Am I missing out? But I stayed with it. And in that quiet, something remarkable happened. My own thoughts got louder. My intuition sharpened. I began to connect ideas that had been floating around in my head for years. The isolation wasn't empty, it was fertile. I realized the price of isolation isn't about becoming a hermit. It's about having the courage to be the only one in the room with your work for long stretches of time. It's about being comfortable with your own company while you build something that no one else can build for you. It's a lonely path, yes, but it's a path with a view that only you will ever get to see. Number 4. The price of delayed gratification. This is the great divider. This is the price that filters out almost everyone. In a world of instant everything, food, information, validation, it's a radical act to choose the slow, hard, long path, to trade a small pleasure now for a massive payoff later. I'm guilty of this as anyone. I wanted my book to be finished, but I didn't want to write it 1 page at a time. I wanted to be fit, but I didn't want to go to the gym on a Tuesday night. I wanted financial security, but I didn't want to say no to an impulse buy. I was a slave to my present self, and my future self was paying the price. Then I had a small, quiet insight that changed my relationship with time. I was looking at my savings account, which had been stagnant for years, and I realized that every single one of my small daily purchases, a coffee, a snack, a random online buy, was a vote for my present comfort over my future freedom. So I flipped the script. I started asking myself a new question before every non-essential purchase or distraction. What future am I buying with this choice? If I chose to watch TV for 2 hours, I was buying a future of an unfinished project. If I chose to skip the gym, I was buying a future of poor health and low energy. But if I chose to write for an hour, I was buying a future where I'm an author. If I chose to invest that money, I was buying a future of financial freedom. This simple question became my compass. It didn't make the right choice easy, but it made it clear. And over time, those small daily choices compounded into a future I could finally be proud of. I realized delayed gratification isn't about deprivation, it's about intentional investment. It's about believing so deeply in your future that you're willing to make your present self a little uncomfortable to serve it. Your turn. One simple step. If any of this resonates,